Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, today we are talking about what makes me very happy and occasionally makes me sad, but for different reasons because it's such a moving story. It is The Two Towers, the book, The Two Towers. And we are once again joined by Princess Rennie.
Hey, Teresa. As always, it's such an honor and so much fun to be here. So I'm really excited to discuss these next few chapters. And I know there's a certain favorite character of yours coming up. So
yeah.
Can't wait for that.
And we have all the way from Norway, the future, the man, the legend, the Stig Kenobi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, Stig.
all the way from the future, where it's a heck of a lot colder than it is where Rennie and I are.
It's actually not that cold right now.
Really?
It's raining big time.
No.
Pouring down.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but it'll turn to ice for you probably in a second.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, we have some folks in the chat. We have Rennie. Well, hello, Rennie. And the teddy bear, the polar bear himself, Snortopupus Kubur. He is ready for his herbs and stewed rabbit and a restful night on Henneth Annuin. You forgot to mention the most important thing that you're ready for, at least what I'm ready for, is the man, the legend, Stig Kenobi. And I'm not thinking, oh, fuck.
I thought you.
Wait, what?
I think you meant Faramir.
I know. I was like, hold on.
But okay then. I'm glad you like me that much.
That's awesome, Teresa.
I'm kind of glad your favorite character isn't Gollum.
Okay. Let me put some context to that. I'm used to saying that as your introduction, and let's try that again. I'm ready for the man, the real legend, Faramir, Captain of Gondor. I'm just done.
Yeah, this is awkward. Just move on. Not letting you blow the horn of Gondor.
Oh, okay. We've got Jacob Ironside Logic. We have got Keck44. Thank you for being here and modding for me. Oh, okay. Snortopupus says, if anyone needs me, I'll be staring at the dazzling veil of silk and pearls and silver thread, melting icicles of moonlight. Hello, Ara. Thank you for being here. Hello, all. Welcome. Holiday greetings to everyone. Hello, Mages Guild. Hail, Rennie A. Maybe he's familiar with you, or you're familiar with him. Well, welcome.
Yeah, he's on a couple of Discord servers with me, so I promote everything everywhere. So,
oh, well, thank you, thank you. Oh no, Mages Guild! I stayed awake for this insanity. Well, usually my Freudian slips are
a little bit less obvious.
Well, last time I called Rennie Faramir, and if that make of that what you will. We all know that Teresa is a huge Mabel fan. All right, everyone's saying hello to each other. Hello, PCAT. It may be raining where Stig is, but he is a ray of sunshine on the panel.
Oh, dear.
Well, there you go. I know, ray of sunshine is
sunshine galore and flowers and meadows and fucking unicorns.
I forgot they had unicorns where you live.
Not anymore.
Oh,
Rennie knows me from a number of places, and I am an expert on the Tolkien Legendarium. Okay, that's Mages Guild. Okay, well, that's great. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Jeannie Mac. It's all entirely my fault because I tried to use a similar introduction. I got to come up with a different one for.
You just need to pay attention to who's on the panel and who's fictional.
You
That's really all you have to do.
know what? You should change your picture or your avatar to Faramir, and that really get her confused.
Well, it doesn't matter. It could be Steve, it could be you, and I'd call you Faramir. Faramir. I mean, that's just
Right.
the thing. I think I'm going to call everybody Faramir today. Yeah, everyone in the chat, change your name to Faramir to help me out. But he really is one of my favorite characters, and not just
He's
because
got such a good he's such a good person. He's got such a pure heart, and you just
Mhm.
you can't help but really
Thank you.
like
Oh, you're
Faramir.
talking about Faramir. Okay.
That's right.
Don't get a big head from this, Stieg. He's quiet. Okay.
The wheel of steel I'm eating.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say I think he's eating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
Jacob
Wheel of
Iron.
Time audiobooks are fantastic. The people who read it,
Mhm.
it's a 10 out of 10.
That's excellent. Well, yes, that's good. Keep reading good stuff. Read what you love. Don't bitch about what. Well, you can bitch about what you hate, but I think the time is we can all look backwards and really find ourselves incredibly entertaining. Mages Guild says the fact that he resisted the lure of the one was impressive for a human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And
Unlike his brother.
well, he snapped out of it.
Yeah.
He came back from it, which is
He
even,
did come back from it, but he fell for a minute, you know.
yeah. But it's even more impressive that he actually shook out of it
Yeah.
after
Right.
the addiction had kicked in, basically.
Yeah.
It's like somebody just kind of like splashed cold water in his face. It's like, oh crap, I got to fight the good fight, you know.
Exactly. And that's why they effed up so badly with Faramir, especially in the Two Towers movie, by basically making it a Boromir 2.0. Tempted, but then didn't take it. Tempted, but then didn't take it, which is what Boromir did.
Yeah.
Also, what makes them impressive is both, not Galadriel, himself, Gandalf. He basically as much said he would not be able to resist.
Yeah.
The
He's like, don't tempt me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that he would not be able to do so. And so let's get going with where it says.
I have a theory about that.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Because the ring corrupts, right?
Yeah.
So if the person has a lot of power, it will corrupt more. Which is why it's more dangerous for Gandalf than it was for Bilbo, because Bilbo doesn't have any power.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
So it
makes
takes
perfect
longer.
sense.
And yeah.
And you know, Gandalf and all the wizards are pretty much demigods, and yeah,
Exactly. So it's if it starts influencing him, it'll be influencing him through his, 20,000% power. So it will be way stronger. The attack on his psyche, basically, or willpower. Bilbo didn't have anything, it was just a hobbit. So it kind of the strength of it was set to low because of that.
That makes perfect sense. And then you've got people like Aragorn, who maybe wasn't magical, but being of the men of the Dunedain and all that, and being of great age.
Yeah, and he wasn't one that sought power either.
correct.
You know?
Yeah. Mages Guild, I said I would not touch it if it lay by the wayside, even not knowing what that thing is. I would take that as an oath. Yeah. Yeah, this man is absolute perfection. Faramir is perfection. So when we talk about, and by the way, I do have that in the chat. If you are new coming to Miss Martin Muses, welcome to Miss Martin Muses. And if you want to share in the chat when did you first read The Lord of the Rings, please go ahead and do so, especially if you are new. But we are going to move on to chapter 4 of Herbs and Stewed Rabbit. I love this chapter, and not just because of Faramir. We have the food when Sam and Gollum are fighting over the food because Sam is cooking the rabbit. And
Yeah, because they can't eat them raw.
well, yeah, because
That would make it a rabbit.
yeah. Oh my goodness. And gosh. But as they're doing it, it says something about Smeagol versus the hobbits or even anyone else is that he's really is not human anymore. He's a
Yeah.
creature, he's an animal because it's animals that that eat food raw.
Yeah. Because what was it, like 500 years he had the ring for? So I mean, he's definitely not even close to like resembling what he used to be, right? I think he's just become so corrupted and
Mhm.
corroded physically and mentally by the ring that he basically is. He has no humanity. All he is just basically a creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically the the leftovers of a hobbit.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And Smeagol, or Gollum says, Smeagol is not pleased, and Smeagol doesn't like smelly leaves. He doesn't eat grasses or roots. No, precious, not till he's starving or very sick. Poor Smeagol, because they're getting the
And then
herbs.
Three-Beard goes, damn it.
Oh, no.
No wood for Smeagol.
Uh, Smeagol won't grub for roots and carrots and taters. Who's carrots, precious, eh? What's taters? Potatoes, said Sam, the gaffer's delight, and we're good ballast for an empty belly. So I thought that was great. Yeah, taters. What's taters, precious? And I like the way they kept that in the movie. That was a
Yeah.
great scene. And he's like, and then he starts to go wax poetic about fried fish and chips. You couldn't say no to that. And Smeagol's, oh, yes, we could. Spoiling nice fish, scorching it, give me fish now, and keep nasty chips. This chapter will make you hungry if you haven't eaten, if you read
I
it.
know. I'm just like, breakfast was a few hours ago.
I know. It's like, everyone, let's all get
Hmm.
fish and chips.
Hmm.
Yeah. And Mage's Guild says Smeagol is a half-wraith, but it says quite a lot that he is not a shade. He retained enough of his essence of the divine fire that he survived the entire corruption despite being owned by the One.
Yeah, it's like almost his mind broke and the split personality kind of saved him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, becoming an animal or a creature, yeah, and learning those instincts. If he stayed his hobbit self, no way he could survive all that time.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's my second breakfast and 11sies and afternoon tea and
And all that.
yeah.
Gollum would definitely be a sushi person, wouldn't he?
Uh-huh. Yes, he would. Yes, he
Yeah,
would.
would.
Yeah, like it raw. Yeah. Oh, Genie Maxty. Okay. OG Star Wars just dropping the show support. Keep up the good work sharing these wonderful stories. Yes,
Aw.
thank you. Thank you. And girl, you need to start reading these books. You need to start reading
Yes.
so you can join us and enjoy them.
Yeah.
Start reading them, you twat.
Oh dear.
She bought them half a year ago.
Oh really? But Tolkien is a really, like, especially, well, the Silmarillion, but even though he's a really great writer, sometimes it just takes a while to really, really get into these books. And it might be where she's like, having some fun with it. Is just like, oh, I just really need to get enthralled here and I'm not there yet. But sometimes it takes
Yeah.
a little bit, but once you get warmed up, you're there,
Yeah.
So
There's no excuse.
She needs to start them instead of balancing all the time on her pinkies.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Hey,
No.
that's a feat in its own. So hey, I commend anyone that can do
No,
that.
that's a
'cause
finger.
it ain't me.
She doesn't use her feet for that.
Oh, dear.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, if it's someone's job to do that, I mean, you can't blame her. I'm just teasing because I'm just half jealous of her. I'm about 30 years behind her on all that stuff. I mean, I'm getting there, but it's going to take me a while. Mage's Guild said, realize that the humans who took on lesser rings of power became shades, but a Stoor ancestor managed to retain enough of himself to not become something between a Nazgul or a Barrow-Wright. Indeed.
Yeah, he's spot on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think it's it has to do with the hobbits in general being way more innocent than humans.
Yeah.
and they're made more, because they the hobbits want the comforts of life. You know, they
Mhm.
want a fireplace, a book, and a cup of tea.
And like they're
Well,
what,
well,
11 meals a day?
Yeah.
yeah, very simple demands. While humans want power.
Yeah.
Yes.
They want to control their nation, what have you. So they're more easily corruptible.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
how
concur.
do you corrupt someone who doesn't want anything?
You really can't, without like temptation of some sort, you know?
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
happy with what you have, if people offer you new stuff to do whatever, and you don't really need it, then it's not going to work. You
That's a
know?
good point.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Mage's Guild was talking about the Cimmerling. Yes, never start with Cimmerling. You start with the Fellowship of the Ring, and
Or
perhaps
like,
start with the Hobbit.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Or like The Hobbit. That was the easiest, and that was kind of my roadway into like reading them on my own. The Hobbit was the easiest to start with for me.
Yeah, it was far more simple, far more short, and written for a different audience.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. He just made the Hobbit fit the Lord of the Rings later on. It wasn't his main
Yeah.
intention even. I saw an interview with him about that. He kind of made it fit as he was writing.
Hmm.
Kind of, the Lord of the Rings was not intended to be a sequel to the Hobbit. He just did that anyway.
Yeah. Well, it almost spoke to him. It came to him first. It was almost by accident. The way he describes it, he even kind of thought, well, maybe I'll start this sequel. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe do that. But then the whole necromancer thing kept mulling in his head. And he even said how the story developed. It was subconsciously almost, and then moved on. For example, the most brilliant man who ever came in fiction, Faramir, in letter number 79, this is how he describes it. A new character has come on the scene. I am sure I did not invent him. I did not even want him, though I like him. But there he came, walking into the woods of Ithilien. So it's almost as though the story was speaking to him, the characters were speaking to him, because he inhabited it, and I just love that he was like, there's some weirdo coming in, not weirdo, rather some perfect man, and he didn't even know, but he's like, I kind of like him. I need to explore him. Who is this man? Why, who is he? It is none other than dun dun dun. I am Faramir, captain of Gondor, because they had a fire that Sam was careless, I guess, in not putting it out, or he didn't realize how much you could see it. And these rangers are like, hey, we think it's orcs. We need to go find out who they are. And then they make themselves known. Right away, they say that he reminded them of Boromir. And I'm like, well, I wonder why,
Yeah. That's odd.
I wonder why that would be. Yeah. But of course, this just introducing him and getting us ready for the reveal that he is indeed the brother of Boromir. And at first he kind of tests him because he doesn't know what the hobbits are all about. And he's like, well, if you say that you're part of this company, what was the rhyme that Boromir brought to you all? What did he say? And Frodo was able to... Oh, wait, it was the other way around. I'm sorry. It was Frodo who was testing him, rather, and said,
Yes,
are the riddling words known to you that Boromir brought to Rivendell? And then he said them, and he's like, it is some token of your truth that you also know of them. So I think they were actually proving it to each other. And then they find out that Boromir is dead, and they find it out from Faramir. Because I'd forgotten, you read this the first time, you forget that they thought he was still alive. All of everything that's happened was after they left the Fellowship.
Yeah, because
So,
last they knew, he was out fighting the orcs or, in the battle,
Well,
and they were doing their thing. Or I don't even
in
know if they know of it.
in the extended version of the Lord of the Rings, they don't know it either because Frodo's kind of shocked to hear that Boromir is dead.
mhm.
Yeah.
Faramir tells them, so they stuck to the I guess the basics of that chapter in the movie,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
even
no.
though Faramir got screwed up.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's which was a great crime. Well, this chapter doesn't go and doesn't give us too much more detail. So we're going to go all ahead and go on to chapter 5. There you just learn more of the different captains that are in there with Faramir, like Mablung and all of them, and the Rangers. You get to see them kind of acting badass, and you just hear the battle going on and men yelling Gondor, Gondor. I
Yeah,
just
it's
love
pretty
it.
interesting, right? Like they really shout out like their pride and like, where they're from. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I don't see us, Americans going to battle and shouting USA, USA. I just think that's really cool. But
Yeah.
so they're very patriotic. But it's really
Well,
cool to see the difference between the Gondor men versus the Rohan men.
they kind of do it though when it comes to sports.
Oh well, yeah, that's true.
Yes.
So
That's true.
it's kind of sports has replaced the the old school cheering for your country kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, and maybe not in battle, do they not say that? But you will hear often even soldiers do the whole USA, USA.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I want to pause for a second to say hello to Timon Flip and everyone else that has also been coming in. Those that are mingling and lurking, please, if you're here, go ahead and give a like, share, and a subscribe. Oliphants said Major Guild. No, Oliphants. Spiegel has never seen elephants. Never want to see them. No. No, indeed. Oh, boy. And when Frodo starts to talk to Faramir about Boromir, you see that he doesn't think ill of him. He said,
Yeah.
Faramir's like, were you a friend of Boromir? And said, vividly before Frodo's mind came the memory of Boromir's assault upon him, and for a moment he hesitated. Faramir's eyes watching him grew harder. Boromir was a valiant member of our company, said Frodo at length. Yes, I was his friend, for my part. So you see that Frodo is reflecting on it, but he leaves it that, at the end of the day, I was his friend for my part. And Faramir goes,
it's like he's weighing the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because Frodo, of all people, knows how tempting the ring is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then Faramir goes, then you would grieve to learn that Boromir is dead. And Frodo's, I would grieve indeed.
Yeah, and he's also being a bit polite because,
Yeah.
the guy's brother is there, right?
Yes. And he's seeing that he definitely is taking it a little personally.
Yeah. It's not like he's going to go, no, I didn't like him. He's a mad fuck.
Yeah. Screw him. He sucked. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And then Faramir's like, well, it should grieve you to know that he's dead. I'm like, hell no. I'm glad he's dead, the bastard.
Yeah, exactly. That would definitely not be the right thing to say.
Yeah. And then Sam kind of jumps in because he's not liking the tone of voice that Faramir's having. He's like, now look here. He has no right to talk to you so, Mr. Frodo, after all you've gone through. See here, Captain. And he plants himself squarely in front of Faramir, his hands on his hips. Yeah. See here, what are you driving at? Let's come to the point before all of the orcs of Mordor come down on us. If you think my master murdered this Boromir and then ran away, you've got no sense. But say it and have done. And then Faramir goes, patience.
You gotta love Sam. This is a little 3-foot something tall dude, like standing up to these like grown men that are what, like 6 foot tall, and he doesn't care. He's got the eye of the tiger, and he's like, "How dare you?" I just love it.
And he only does it when someone's being pissy with Frodo.
Yes.
Because he's so
So
loyal,
It's like a guard dog.
Yes.
But he promised Gandalf, and he always references that. Well, I promised. I made a promise, and he's so good about sticking to it, to the end.
Well, and I can relate that I often get more insulted when a family member or a good friend or someone I care about, when they're being insulted, than when someone insults me. If that makes any sense.
No,
It's
absolutely.
like, say what you want about me, but don't say that about him or don't say that about her.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I can take up for myself, but how dare you insult them? That is not okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Faramir shows his hand. He's like, just chill, just sit down, be comforted, sit by your master and be silent. Sam sat down heavily with a red face. Faramir turned to Frodo and said, you asked how do I know that the son of Denethor is dead? Tidings of death have many wings. Night off brings news to near kindred, 'tis said. Boromir was my brother. Oh, he needs a hug.
I
He
know.
needs a hug. Yes. It's
sad how he finds out that his brother's not around anymore. It's like, that's not really how you want to find out,
yeah.
I was in a dream, basically. And then they found the horn washed up on the river. Quite the odds, to be honest, but, fate probably had a thing to do with it.
Yeah, you had fate and the connection maybe that they had. And we know that Faramir almost has a spiritual kind of connection to things, almost like a psychic kind of deal. And he has a way of being able to read people, and maybe a little bit of supernatural going on, that he's able again to resist the ring. But he goes and describes like an awe fell upon me, a pale light, all these things like a vision. And he saw Boromir. I saw many wounds on him. It was Boromir, my brother, dead. I knew his gear, his sword, his beloved face. Only thing I only missed, his horn. Only thing I knew not, a fair belt, as it were, linked of golden leaves about his waist. So that also shows us that this was a true vision, because he wouldn't have known that. He would have just, if he was feeling nostalgic about his brother, he would not have seen it with that elven helm. And he goes, Boromir, I cried, where is thy horn? Whither goest thou? Oh, Boromir! But he was gone. The boat turned into the stream and passed glimmering on into the night, dream like it was, and yet no dream, for there was no waking. And I do not doubt that he is dead and is passed down the river to the sea.
Because he wouldn't have known what happened with Aragorn and him and the Uruk-hai and how they dressed him up in the boat and kind of gave him the Viking funeral without the fire. He wouldn't have known that. He wouldn't have known that his sword was laying across him and all that. So, yeah, I think that's a good point that you bring up, Teresa.
Yeah.
To be honest, the sword probably just laid across him for like a couple of minutes until he went over the waterfall.
Yeah. I mean, the waves would have
Absolutely.
knocked it over. It would have knocked it over for sure. Yeah. And Jacob, I do see your question. We'll get to that in a second. He has a hypothetical question about rangers, which kind of rangers would be better. And Ancient One is here. Thank you, Ancient One, for being here and for modding. And once that happens, I think they start to trust each other, because then Frodo just starts spilling the tea. At last, that was indeed the Boromir as I knew him, for the golden belt was given to him in Lothlorien by the Lady Galadriel.
Also, Mage's Guild in the chat brings up an excellent point. He ascribes the stuff to Olmo, because Olmo there's water involved, and he is the Vala of Visions.
Oh, that's
Hmm.
right.
Yes. You know what? I would subscribe to that one. I would, because it makes sense. I'm not sure if it was intended, but it certainly fits. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds good to me. I mean, I love this, and I love this chat that they're coming up with a lot of these insights. And as they continue, they start to talk about the different visions or the things that they have seen. Because Frodo is wondering, could this have been a trick of the enemy? He says, "I have seen fair faces of fair warriors of old laid in sleep beneath the pools of the dead marshals." So Frodo's almost like doubting that he's dead. Like, maybe he's okay. Maybe he's okay. And Faramir's like, no, no. This for his works fill the heart with loathing. The evil one. This is a very important point. The evil one, the one, fills the heart with loathing, but my heart was filled with grief and pity. That's kind of like testing the spirits. Sometimes
yeah.
that's the thing in religion where you're like, if it's something from the evil one, if it's something from the satanic powers, if you will, it makes you feel like crap. But if something from the spirit of consolation is one that fills you with peace, even though you might have grief, it doesn't fill you with foreboding or any kind of great fear. And that would be consistent with Tolkien's religion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's a common thread through the whole Lord of the Rings. It's a test of spirit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you would enjoy this, Steek. Faramir just decides to exclaim and do some prose. Not poetry, but he does do some prose when he's thinking about being in the Golden Wood and being around the elves in Galadriel. Boromir, oh Boromir, what did she say to you? The lady that dies not, blah, blah, blah. And he goes on. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's
I
like,
hope.
I'm reminded of this lady I met once. Here's a poem about it.
He's just a true romantic, Steeg. Maybe that's what it is.
No, it's not just him. It's the whole damn bunch of them.
I know.
Yeah. Well, but to be fair, it wasn't a poem. It was a prose exclamation. It just is like a paragraph. So it was not a poem. But he is crying out. I hope the bad guys aren't going to hear him. It's like they're always like doing oratory. Oh boy.
You have to admit it's abnormal behavior.
Yeah, like, the bad guys are chasing you and you have to stop to recite something or to have an epiphany, and it's pretty hilarious because, we couldn't do that today. If somebody's chasing you, it's like, well, I better run. I don't have time for a poem, So.
Yeah, I've been reading the books again. I'm into the Fellowship of the Ring.
Mhm.
A Shortcut to Mushrooms. That's a chapter I'm on, and
Oh, that's a cute chapter.
They're like, yeah, shit, Black Rider's over there on that hill, but he can't come down the ravine and find us, right, or whatever it is, because they keep seeing the Black Riders quite a bit in those chapters, and they're like, yeah, sure, they don't know where we are. Let's sing some.
Let's help them find us. Come on.
Yeah, it literally happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and as they're talking later, Faramir kind of talks about them being men of Gondor, but not of the line of Elendil, though the blood of Numenor is in us. And he also lets loose one of his perfections, that he's a scholar. And he says, we of the House of Denethor know much ancient lore by long tradition. And he says, I can read a little of these in the works. And it was these records that brought the Grey Pilgrim to us. I first saw him when I was a child, and he's been twice or thrice since then. And then Frodo's the Grey Pilgrim. He had a name. Mithrandir, we called him in elf fashion. And then Frodo's Gandalf. So he's revealing that he has studied with Gandalf and has a connection to him and to Frodo.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting also that I like the differentiating quality and culture that, the Gondorians, since a lot of them are, Numenorian descendants, are very into a lot of like elf culture, so to speak. Like a lot of them speak some sort of elvish dialect. They even call Gandalf by his elven name. And I don't know. I always thought that was kind of a neat distinguishing factor for the Gondor men.
Also makes you wonder if Gandalf had foreseen a lot of things and kind of groomed Faramir when he was training him a bit.
I mean, you could be right. He is a
Mm-hmm.
demigod. So.
Yeah.
Because he could have foreseen himself, like, as how he would have been with the ring, too. And that may very well be why he's like, yeah, no, I better not.
Yeah. And then,
sorry, Teresa.
Oh, no.
I feel bad. I'm like, oh, no.
Never feel sorry to express yourself. I'm looking here, and then Frodo is the one to bring the bad news. Well, Faramir's lost. Sorry, Mithrandir. Oh my gosh, everyone's name is Faramir, but Mithrandir has lost. He says to Faramir, an evil, and then Faramir's like, an evil fate seems to have pursued your fellowship. So many wonderful things did he do among us, and Faramir's like, I see that there's some great dread in this. This Mithrandir I now guess, more than a lore master, a great mover of the deeds that are done in our time.
Yeah.
So there is a part in Tolkien's letters where he says that Faramir is the character in the Lord of the Rings that he believes is most like him. And there's an essay that talks about this, which uses some of the quotes. Like they say, for example, the fact that Faramir, he really truly has a love of country, and the Faramir is the most spiritual of all the characters in the Lord of the Rings. Like when they go to do their meal, he like pauses and looks toward the west, and he doesn't even know why he does. So he has some ritual. Sorry, I say that. Yeah, I do have Faramir on the mind. And he truly does love his country. And he waxes poetic. He says, I would see the white tree in flower again in the courts of the king, and the silver crown return, and Minas Tirith in peace. And war must be, while we defend our lives against a destroyer who would devour all, but I do not love the bright sword for its sharpness, nor the arrow for its swiftness, nor the warrior for his glory. I love only that which they defend, the city of the men of Numenor, and I would have her loved for her memory, her ancestry, her beauty, and her present wisdom, not feared, save as men may fear the dignity of man, old and wise. And I'm like, marry me. But also, yeah, no, but he really does truly love his city, and also he doesn't like war. But he says, there are things that are so beautiful, so fair, that they must be defended. He said, I want to see Minas Tirith in peace, Minas Anor as of old, full of light, high and fair, beautiful as a queen among other queens. Yeah.
Now, is Minas Honor? I can't remember. Is that the one that got turned into Minas? Oh no, I think it's Minas Ithil. Or which one is it that got turned into the Nazgul castle?
I think that's what it
Minas Morgul.
That's Minas Morgul.
But wasn't it called something else before that?
Speaking of shit that gets turned into Nazguls, Matt Wilkins is in the chat.
Oh dear.
I hear Stieg is getting a bag of nuts this year.
Nice.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a bag of nuts. That actually sounds very tasty. Take that as you will. No.
Somebody brought this huge like tray of assorted nuts to work. I think it was our property manager, and they had all kinds of good stuff. But there was a coworker that almost broke a tooth on a Jordan almond. She's like, "What the hell are these?" I'm like, "Those are Jordan almonds, but they're not normally that hard." So, oops.
Okay, yeah, the chat's helping us out here. Minas Anor is Minas Tirith. Minas Morgul was Minas Hall. Minas
There we go.
Still becomes Minas Morgul. and a partridge in a pear tree. My gosh. Welcome, Mr. Brown Alliance. Welcome to Mrs. Martin Muses. Better than a back. I can't read that. I'm a
He
lady.
it says better than a bag of dicks.
I wonder where he got that phrase from.
I'm just reading these cards. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Oh, wait, that's Spanish. Never mind. I was like, he's speaking Latin. Yay, but that's okay. Ancient One, tally into the Witch King. Then I banish you. Morgul is mine. All righty. Well, that's another reason why we love Faramir here on Miss Martin Muses, or at least I do, is because he knows his lore, and everyone loves someone that knows their lore.
Thank you.
True.
Oh.
Usually I get called an elitist for knowing what I read about.
Oh boy, bye.
Yeah, which is worse, being an elitist or being a snob? Because someone on this panel might call me a snob quite frequently.
They typically get intertwined and confused with each other. Mm-hmm. Elitist and snobs, they like get called one another.
Yeah, but you're not a snob if you like the fine things in life.
I agree.
No.
Yeah, there you go. And you're not an elitist if you love your lore. The only editorializing I think I'll do on this is no one has anything to fear from knowledge. And if
you really enjoy something like The Lord of the Rings or Star Trek, what have you, you will become a fan. And a fan is someone who loves it so much that every detail matters. You know, that's just the thing. So if you're into deeply invested in Star Wars lore like Alora is, it just means she likes all of it.
Yeah.
She just
nothing wrong with that.
Invests time and effort into something she loves, and she's basically consuming the product she's a fan of, which is
kind of what you should do as a fan, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you like it, you want more of it. Simple as that.
Absolutely. And you celebrate the good stuff,
Yeah, but that's bad now too.
Oh yeah. How dare you? How dare you? Well, and here's my take on it. You never have anything to fear from knowledge. It's something to be discussed, maybe debated, but
well, here's the thing. Knowledge is basically what the truth is, and some people don't like it when the truth is held up because it ruins false narratives.
True. Well, then there was a quote by Benjamin Franklin that says the first person to throw a punch in an argument is the first person to admit that his argument has no merit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, typically that is the case.
Yeah.
Because there's no other way to argue, so it's like, fine, I'll just punch the person in the face,
Exactly, yeah. Or call them a name.
Yeah.
Oh, sometimes some people are simply too dumb to have a debate, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Yes, I'm up for a mass debate. Well, there you go, Mr. Brown Alliance. Anytime.
Oh, dear.
Yes. No. Ancient One says, if there isn't knowledge that isn't power, then there isn't sense that isn't responsibility.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. That's going to make me think for quite a while. Yes, well done. Go, and then with a question mark. Not entirely sure what you mean there, Keck, if you want to clarify it.
Where do you want us to go? Explain.
He wants us to go crazy, and I think it's going to be a short trip.
What are you trying to say, Teresa?
We're all crazy. Okay. Oh, yeah, here's the moment, the liturgical moment, where before they ate, Faramir and all his men turned and faced west for a moment of silence. Faramir signed to Frodo and Sam that they should do likewise. So we always do, he said as they sat down. We look towards Numenor that was, and beyond to Elvenhome that is, and to that which is beyond Elvenhome and will ever be. Have you no such custom at meat? No, said Frodo, feeling strangely rustic and untutored. But if we are guests, we bow to our host, and after we have eaten, we rise and thank them. That we do also, said Faramir. The age of manners. Aren't these people so polite?
Yeah, that doesn't happen nowadays. Just saying.
I know. I mean, imagine that. We stand up and bow to our host, and after we have eaten, we rise and thank him. Yeah, we do usually say thank him, but we don't usually all rise, but
or bow or anything like that.
Yeah. And this part has been mentioned a lot with scholars because this is the only time we actually see anything like ritual in the Lord of the Rings, any religious ritual, if you will. But even then, it's like Faramir's talking about the great mysteries. Like we know beyond like the Elvenhome, we know there's something there, something that will ever be, and they acknowledge that before they eat. Oh,
yeah,
pretty interesting. So Stieg, the Avatar squirrel. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but that's okay. And as Snortopupus Kubert says, it's impossible to go where you already are.
Yeah, he just went there like it was nothing.
Yeah. And after they're all done eating, Faramir's like, tell me of Boromir, my brother, and the fair people of Lothlorien. So, again, this perfect man is connected with the elves. And Frodo no longer felt sleepy and was willing to talk. So he told many tales, and enlarging rather on the valiant part Boromir had played in all their adventures, which, as Stieg was saying earlier, you're not going to say to the dude who just lost his brother, hey, he was a dude. Yeah, so he told the good stuff. That's what you do at a funeral, if you will, at a wake. No one ever says he was a selfish bastard.
Yeah, like, dude had such an attitude. Just bury him and get it over with. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. And Faramir kind of...
He touched Pippin.
Oh no.
Oh. And Faramir is enjoying this, and he was most moved by the story of the fight on the bridge. It must have irked Boromir to run from the orcs, or even from the fell thing you name of Balrog. Yeah, he knew his brother well, and there was a fictional scene. It's all fiction, but made up scene that was not in the books in the Two Towers movie, where you get to see them being brothers together and just truly having affection.
I kind of like that because you don't really get that too much, to actually see it and then to see the wedge that their father kind of drives between them, so to speak. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Denethor is the first character in movie history, I think, that has been introduced in an extended cut of a movie.
Yeah.
Because he's not in the cinematic version of the Two Towers at all.
No.
Doesn't show up until the third one. But he is in the extended Two Towers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Snortopupus Kubur says that is why the 60s counterculture movement decided in their infinite ignorance that Lord of the Rings had no religion in it. It was too subtle for their drag-addled brains. Yes. Not just that, but Tolkien did say of any religion, he said this is a Catholic work. He said it was unconscious at first, but conscious as he was writing it. And he said because of that, that is why you don't really see religion in the book. He, first of all, he did not want there to be any allegory, but it is all definitely applicable, and with the worldview and the spirituality that is from this. And of course, the 60s counter-cultural movement didn't like any traditional religion. And we're even seeing it now where people are trying to rewrite history to say that he was not the traditional man that he was.
Yeah, and given that it's takes place in a fictional world, he can't really use Catholicism in it. Because it would have developed differently, even if they have something similar.
Yes, and it would have ruined the world building. It would have ruined everything. But it's very applicable. A lot of the sacramental worldview that you see within the story, for sure. PCAT says, "May I request Miss Martin say bastard again?" There you go. I did it.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. Keck 44.
Watch them. Seriously.
Yes.
Worth every minute.
Really, Keck? Oh, you gotta get into that. Like, really does a lot of like world and lore building, in my opinion. And it explains a lot of things that you might have questions on or be like, well, that doesn't make sense. How'd you jump from here to here?
Yeah.
So.
And bastard. And I'm not saying it again.
You know what? Watch the Sharp movies with Sean Bean. He says bastards all the time. Holy shit. It's like galore.
Yes. You would love it. And of course, Brown, from what I understand, it is not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but I do appreciate you being here. I do appreciate you being here and sucking it up. And yes, Mage's Guild, it's subtle. It's very subtle. And not necessarily important. It's more, again, the way it views the sacramentality of what you're seeing that is very recognizable and compatible. But he did not want it to be The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which was an absolute allegory.
Yeah.
And holy crap.
And you know what? I'm an atheist, and I like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I don't mind that there's allegory.
Yeah, because the story, the story is good enough where you can kind of separate it. Yeah.
Yep. Well, and not just that, you don't have to believe everything you're entertained by, for crying out loud. I read pagan crap all the time. I read Beowulf, but I don't go, oh my gosh, I'm a Christian, I can't read this.
Yeah, exactly.
Or myth, ancient myth.
There's a difference between belief and entertainment. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you guys.
Yeah, and people need to get a big stick out of their arse and realize that there's many points of view in the world, and it just seems like nowadays we have this new inquisition of, if you're not having an entertainment that completely conforms to the new secular and religion, if you will, and that's probably not even fair to call it secular, because there's loads of secular stuff that's really, really cool, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The religion of the jab, if you will.
Yeah.
And all the world views that come with it that will tolerate no dissent. Those are the people that are no fun.
Absolutely.
They're literally worshiping something being injected into them.
Well, I have friends on both sides. And I will say there are some friends that have had the jab that they're like, you know what? I think it should be everybody's choice. So, there are some open-minded ones, but, not the majority, not so much. You guys are absolutely right.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, here's a good point that Mage's Guild said. It was the other one. That was an era where you could disagree and still be mates.
Yeah.
And a good example is Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. They did disagree on a great many things, but they were still able to be friends because maybe they were grown-ups about it all. And Mage says, yeah, it's a cult, and cults tend to be bad historically. Yes. No matter what the cause, whenever you have any kind of shutting down, when you're shutting down discourse, debate, bad things happen, bad things happen. And Snorted Poopus is correct. They also decided Middle Earth was some kind of socialist paradise with no economy and no money, despite the fact that Bilbo was giving out pennies to the children and Frodo reimbursed Butterbur. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the pints at the Prancing Pony weren't free.
Yes, no, they weren't. Hello, Rebecca Bold. Thank you for being here. Miss Martin Muses. I said arse instead of ass. I did.
Yes, you did.
I know who you are, Rebecca Gold.
Yeah, Ian. Yeah, I just think that's fun. Well, I still cuss the way I was learned to cuss, I guess, in Ireland. Jacob says, "Here's another insult. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberry."
That's cute.
Yeah. Well, and the perfection that is Faramir continues for several pages, telling long stories about the stewards and the Rohirrim, the alliances that they had with the people of Rohan. And he goes, the Rohirrim are grown in some ways more like to us, enhanced in arts and gentlemen. We too have become more like to them and can scarce claim any longer the title high. We are become middlemen of the twilight, but with memory of other things. A little bit. You see, this is why Faramir and Eowyn are such a perfect couple, because they literally marry those two together as the people of the West, the men of the West, all rise together, and then have a nice little denouement. But
Yeah.
gosh, he goes on. I mean, I love this man, and I could read this stuff all day, but I'm not gonna torture you with going through all of Faramir's dialogues, monologues, and all of that. But there is something significant that Faramir says when they are talking about the ring, that he says that he would not pick up the ring if he saw it on the road, and that he is not really tempted by it. And I think that might be in the next chapter, now that I'm thinking of it. But that's what makes him similar to Boromir, but also very, very different. And I think it is in the next chapter, in the Forbidden
Boromir, though, had more pressure on him because he was the oldest son, and he was
Denethor
more
really...
of a and he was more of a warrior, so he had the responsibility of trying to save his city, basically, because that's why he left for Rivendell in the first place. That's his whole mission.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like since Denethor treated them differently, like everything was just like, oh, Boromir can do this, and Boromir can do this, and he's going to save our country, and he's going to get the ring, and he's going to do this, and it's just like, it was the expectation partially. Yeah, I agree with that. He partially wanted the ring to save his country, to make his dad happy, to shut him up.
Yeah. Well, and also there is something to be said about the first son versus the second son.
Yeah.
That was a huge deal in aristocracy, especially. It not just encompassed a person's inheritance. Like the first son would inherit, and often the rest of the sons would not, let alone the chicks. But the whole idea with the women is, well, we'll marry them to a rich dude. And in the Middle Ages, the oldest son was the one that was expected to do the father's work, the father's estate, and would inherit everything. The second son, his expectation was just go off and be a priest. And then, we'll get to say that we have a priest in the family. And the dudes didn't have much of a choice in that either, the second son. And the only way that the second son would move forward is his brother dies. And that's exactly what happens with Faramir. Well, he will eventually become the steward because after his father will die, and then Boromir is dead. So now Faramir is the heir, but he was not raised as the heir. So everything that you
Correct.
said, Stieg, and excuse me, Rennie, absolutely. Yeah, Snorter Poopa says an heir and a spare. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
yeah. And in the current monarchy, boy, is the spare a spare. Luckily, he's not the spare anymore.
Yeah.
Prince Harry, the ungrateful little. Shane Nolan is here. Thank you for popping in, Miss Martin
Oh.
Music. It's always great to see you here. Well, the next chapter, The Forbidden Pool, is when Gollum comes on the scene. It's like, we have a concern. And it's like, look what we captured. And sure enough, it is Gollum. And they're like, well, what does he seek? And Frodo goes, fish. That's great. Like, what's that dude doing? What's he doing? It's like he wanted to get fish. It shows you a little bit about Gollum. This is the one part where Gollum's almost kind of cute. It's like, oh, adorable. And he's like, fish, nice fish.
Basically like a little kid that's excited about, eating their macaroni and cheese, so to speak.
Exactly. Candy.
Yay!
Yeah. Oh, hello, Kellington. Welcome to Miss Smart Music. Thank you for being here. But yeah. And he's like, come on. You need to come with me. And because he could have gotten killed. I mean, it's not his fault. And then he's like, Trixie, you tricked me. And they capture Gollum. And he's like, you must trust me. I won't desert you. Answer truthfully. Come hither. Do you know the name of this place? Have you been here before? And Gollum raised his eyes and looks unwillingly into Faramir's. All light went out of them. They stared bleak and pale for a moment into the clear, unwavering eyes of the men of Gondor. And Gollum goes, we doesn't know and we doesn't want to know. Never came here, never come again. And then Faramir's like, okay, he speaks the truth. But he is definitely a wretched creature. And Faramir goes, fine, I surrender you to your master, to Frodo, son of Drogo. I think that's interesting. And again, in great contrast to what we see happening in the movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
yeah,
then
it's completely different in the movie. In the movie, they kick him and stuff too.
Yeah, they kind of beat up on him a little bit much for my taste in the movie. I agree.
Yeah. I think in the extended edition, that's where it's really pretty brutal. And it's very hard to watch. Yeah. Thank you, Ancient One, for being here. Thank you for being here. And then Faramir, who is brilliant and sees everything, says, Frodo, I think you do very unwisely in this. I do not think you should go with this creature. It is wicked. And Frodo's like, not altogether wicked. Not holy, perhaps, said Faramir, but malice eats it like a canker, and the evil is growing. He will lead you to no good. If you will part with him, I will give him safe conduct and guidance to any point on the borders of Gondor that he might name. And Frodo says he would not take it. He would follow after me as he long has done. You would not ask me to break faith with him. No, said Faramir, but my heart would. Yeah, so he knows.
It's amazing because, like we were saying at the beginning, Faramir is so pure of heart that he can just see all the malice and the evil in Gollum that Frodo doesn't want to see. I think Frodo, unlike Sam, just, because of being a ring bearer, he wants to see that there might be some good in him and believe that he's better than what he is.
It's because he risks being turned into him.
Yeah.
So he's kind of saying it to himself almost, that you're not going to end up completely like this.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh. Well, and then when Faramir realizes that he can't change Frodo's mind, he at least gives him some advice about, some things about where to go, maybe where not to go. But he says that even me, I do not know where these are. So, and Frodo, oh, Faramir just keeps saying, I would not have it so. And Frodo's like, well, then what would you have me do? He says, I know not. Only I would not have you go to death or to torment. Oh, so he even kind of knows Frodo is a good guy.
Just speaks volumes of Faramir's character, you know, and you don't get this. I mean, you still get a lot of it in the movies, but you don't get this in the movies because in the books, he's just not a very angry or vengeful person other than the fact that he wants to know how his brother dies. He doesn't understand because his brother was like his hero, you know, not his dad, his brother. And so it's like, well, but he was so strong and he was such a good warrior. How can he be dead? That doesn't make sense to me. And in the movie, he's more like, oh, well, I could take the ring to Gondor. Let's do this. And he doesn't do that in the book, you know? He's very like, you know what? I feel bad for you guys. I wish I could help you. I wish I could do more for you. And I wish I could get you away from this crazy dude right here, or this evil guy. So it just...
I think that the reason why Peter Jackson made that choice was he felt like there needed to be some sort of conflict that was going to be happening with Frodo and Sam because he left the Shelob part for the third movie instead of the Two Towers. And so they were like, let's do this. Let's have them almost get captured by Faramir. Not realizing that they maybe could have thought a little bit outside the box and done this very well. And I think we would have forgiven them. They didn't have to have that little thing where he takes him to Osgiliath and the Witch King is there and what Faramir like just shoots an arrow into it and it goes away. It just was silly.
Yeah, he almost hands the ring in like 2 inches from handing it in, you know.
Yeah. And it was like and then he's like, oh, okay, I guess you do need to go destroy the ring. It's like, what are you, stupid? And Faramir's not stupid. It was very silly. And as Shane Nolan says, yes, he does also give them food. And Faramir saying, you have a hopeless errand, but at least remember my warning. Beware of this guy Smeagol. He has done murder before now. I read it in him. Remember how Faramir has this instinct, almost a supernatural instinct of knowledge. And then he goes,
but to be honest, looking at Gollum, you kind of can tell that he's not that trustworthy and he's full of, you know, don't turn your back on this guy, you know?
Yeah. That's true, but you know he's perfect though. A lot of love or not love for PJ and his partners in this. Well, then Faramir sighs. Well, so we meet in part, Frodo, son of Drogo. You have no need of soft words. I do not hope to see you again on any other day under the sun, but you shall go now with my blessing upon you and upon all your people. Oh. And he goes, I would gladly learn of this how this creeping Smeagol became possessed of the thing of which we speak and how he lost it, but I will not trouble you now. If ever beyond hope you return to the lands of the living and we retell our tales, sitting by a wall in the sun, laughing at old grief, you shall tell me then. Farewell. And he rose and bowed low to Frodo. And then, drawing the curtain, passed out into the cave. Marry me, Faramir. Yes. Yes. How perfect is that? And it's also sad because we know that once all this is over, Frodo isn't really able to sit and chill and talk about these things over ale. He never quite recovers from what happened.
Yeah, that's very well said, Teresa. Like he can never quite get it out of his system or never quite forget. And, you know, he doesn't sleep well. His battle wound from the Witch King still hurts him in the end. He can never go back to normalcy.
Yeah. And not just that, he's experiencing PTSD, for lack of any word. This is something
Yeah.
that Tolkien would be very familiar with. What happened to men once they saw what they saw, they're just not able to integrate back into life.
Yeah, it's well said. Very well said.
Lots of really good comments in the chats. And Keck, you're still here. Stay till the end of the stream and then immediately drop everything and watch the extended edition. I think that you will definitely get a different feel to everything, at least from the movie's point of views. But nothing, of course, beats reading the books.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Luffy is God. Thank you for coming to Miss Martin Muses. We have some more northern representation. It is one of the saddest gay love stories ever, worse than Brokeback Mountain. Wait.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Could you imagine Frodo and Sam? I wish I knew how to quit you. No, I really don't want to. I take it back.
Yeah. And Jacob said Sam names one of his kids Faramir. Yes, if I were to
what
have...
they should do is like replace all the singing with fucking.
Oh no.
Oh,
But it's mainly guys at the beginning of the story.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's gonna be an LGBTQ dream.
Oh dear. The ring race will definitely find him in that case. What's that big pile over there?
Yeah, it's semen residue.
Rings.
What's that big pile over there? Yeah, Sam doesn't swallow.
Oh, gosh, sake.
And they can just follow the trail, you know?
Yeah.
Shane Nolan, yes, reintegration trouble is a very old problem. Ancient Roman legionnaires had the same issues. Whoa. Faramir is a switch hitter? Wait.
Oh, no.
Okay, I can't even read these. Oh, my gosh. But you guys are on fire. I gotta say, you all are having some very things. Oh, and this is a perfect moment for Tyrone Beard to come in.
Oh my God.
We were actually being very mature.
Yeah, for the most part. Absolutely.
Yeah. Good morning, chat. Yeah. Jacob actually has a very good point. Amazon Lord of the Rings, that's what they're gonna do.
Probably.
Yeah. Luffy's God says that they had that moment on the mountain, Rennie. I can't carry the rig, but I can carry
That's
you.
true.
Yeah, and he also suggested that they would share the load.
That's right.
Oh, one of the greatest gay love stories. Faramir pitches or catches. Oh, what did I miss? LOL. Broke back ring pieces.
Just like he walks into the cave and sees the hobbits and goes, "This is the chance for Faramir, captain of Gondor, to prove his sperm quality."
To prove his worth.
No.
Teresa's like, how dare you?
Oh. Wow. With song and praise. How do you diffuse this obscenity with song and praise? Great to see. Oh, great to see you. Okay, yes, Tyrone, you are being the mature man. And speaking of the quote about Faramir talking about his quality, that was in The Window of the West. I think I skipped over that because, oh my,
Yeah, that's what the pool is.
The forbidden pool.
Oh,
yeah, the forbidden pool.
But then how do you
Gollum
explain all the fish swimming in it?
I don't know.
That Gollum catches.
Yeah, it makes it even dirtier. It's like digging around in it.
No, I'm not okay, Mr. Brown, and my groaning is not because of that. Not that kind of groaning. Faramir is a good character to be like, sloppy second. Oh, I can't. Oh.
Oh, dear.
Okay, we have a poem just for you, Stieg. Snortopupus Kubur says, "As certain as night is not day, of this I shall say, Frodo and Sam are not gay."
Good one,
Yeah.
Snortopupus. I like that. That's cute.
Yeah, I hope I got the rhythm right there. Oh, those aren't fish. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, speaking of Faramir's quality, when they finally let it slip, or Sam lets it slip that they have the ring, Faramir is very
Weary?
well, no, not just weary, but he really changes there because he says, so it seems.
Rennie vanished. She put on the ring.
Oh, speaking of which, yeah. So that is the answer to all the riddles. The One Ring. He's very serious. He's very solemn, and he's very sexy when he does that, even in the book. And it's come to me, a pretty stroke of fortune, a chance for Faramir, captain of Gondor, to show his quality. Ha! He stood up very tall and stern, his gray eyes glinting. Oh, I'll let her back in. I don't know how she. Did you yeet yourself?
I think so. So I accidentally
You're
touched
laughing.
something. I was just like, oh crap. I mean, it's not a stream unless like I fall out somehow. So it's all good.
Yeah. And Frodo even said, now's a chance to show your quality. And when Faramir is standing up the way he is, they sprang from their stools and set themselves side by side with their backs to the wall, fumbling for their sword hilts. But Faramir sat back down in his chair and began to laugh quietly, and then became very serious again, became grave. He said, "Alas for Boromir, it was too sore a trial. How you have increased my sorrow. But you are less judges of men than I of halflings. We are truth speakers. We are men of Gondor. We boast seldom and then perform or die in the attempt. Not if I found it on the highway would I take it, I said, even if I were such a man as to desire this thing. And even though I knew not clearly what this thing was when I spoke, still I should not take those words as a vow and be held by them. But I am not such a man."
So you just have to admire that quality about Faramir, no matter what. Being of the weakest race as far as like of beings that are, enticed by the ring. He never once wants it. He never once is tempted. He doesn't care. He's like, whatever, I'm not touching that thing. You have to admire that. It's just amazing.
Exactly. And then he tells them, be comforted, but do not even name this thing again aloud. Once is enough. Wait a second. Okay. Gollum and Schmeagol are gay. Are they gay for each other?
I mean, that could be possible because he talks to himself, right?
Yeah, he lived alone for 500 years. He probably fucked himself.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Framer had nothing to prove. Nothing to prove. And I think that this right here
Diddles
is
in the dark.
Oh, for
Oh Lord.
But that sums up kind of everything here. But I do like the way that Faramir's like, don't bring it up again, though. Once is enough. And that's kind of along with the idea that one should not even name the evil things. Just don't even name it. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah,
but
you just don't mess with it, which is what Gandalf said. Just,
What was it I know this is a really awful reference to make, but like, wasn't it the Harry Potter books where they said, to give the name such power or to give the name such fear gives it power. So, if they don't name the ring or if they don't, say it's, quote unquote nicknames or whatever, it doesn't give it the power there. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And indifference is the best situation I think that you can have with anything. Maybe the attitude that something only has as much power over you that you give to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree.
Yeah, loads of really good comments there. Before we perhaps go to just a teeny bit of open topic, is there anything, Steve, you want to say about these 3 chapters?
No, they're awesome. Uh, there's not a bad chapter in this whole series. You know,
Yeah.
it's a classic for a reason, and every chapter adds something. There's no empty chapters.
Mm-hmm. Even the poetry, in my humble opinion.
The only thing I struggle with is Tom Bombadil, but you guys know that. But that's about it.
Yeah,
He's a bunch of
still
silliness.
yeah, but there's a little bit of lore.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And I do like, who was it that said they think of him as just kind of an extension or as of a persona of a Iluvatar? That's really awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Kind of makes me appreciate him more and not find him so like blah. So
Yeah. Mages Guild says they do give specific names to evils to declare them evil, such as the naming Melkor or Morgoth. Yes, I agree. I think though what Faramir the Perfect is saying is that I'm just giving him a title. Faramir the
like it.
Perfect. Yeah. He is not going to dwell upon it. He is not going to dwell upon it. Every now and then on the Catholic channel, people will call it and be like, oh, Satan, oh, the devil, and all that. And often the priest will just be like, why are you obsessing about this? Why are you even thinking about this? It's like, come on, get on with your life. Yeah, we kind of believe in evil. We do believe in dark angels, whatever you want to call it, but they have no power over you. Just get on with your life. Why are you sitting around obsessing about it? And that the obsession is actually the unhealthy part of it. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Same thing with this. It's like, within reason. If someone's walking up to you and about ready to punch you in the face, yeah, you're going to defend yourself. But especially if it's something that has no part of you, why worry about it? Gosh, I'm talking to myself now. I am giving myself therapy because there is a lot of truth.
Sorry, I was eating a cookie.
Oh, you can eat as many cookies as you want. Oh, Tom Bombadil, I'm assuming, did nothing wrong. Yeah, I have appreciated Tom Bombadil more as I've gone in my life. I think reading it the first time through, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, what is all this silliness? Yeah.
Yeah. But on reread 20 years later, 20, 30 years later, after rereading it several times, you do grow to appreciate it. Okay. Luffy is God. I think he agrees with you. My opinion is that leaving out Bombadil is the reason why you can't call Lord of the Rings the best book to movie adaptation. I wanted Tom.
Yeah. I don't think it hurt the story personally, but I can see why he would say that because, if you're so into the books, it's like, well, you're leaving a major character out, especially, if he is like a Iluvatar,
well, Is he a major character though? Because you never see him again.
Well, he plays a role in both The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings.
No.
So it kind of ties those books together.
Wait, Bombadil?
I thought so. Wasn't he in The Hobbit or no?
No.
In the book? Okay, just The Lord of the Rings? Okay, I need to reread The Hobbit, obviously.
Yeah, no, well, he was in a short story that Tolkien wrote like in the 30s or something, but it was not a part of the major.
If you have to cut something out, though, the Tom Bombadil thing is kind of at the top, isn't it? If you need to save time, and I guess the stuff with former maggot.
Yeah, the real shortcut to mushrooms story,
which happens after the Nazgul scene.
It does.
In the movie, it's right before. They've stolen vegetables from former maggots, which they don't do in the book. They talk to him.
Because what does Tom Bombadil actually do for the story? other than to protect them and to show that there are some beings out there that are immune to the power of the ring.
Yeah. Well, he does give them some special blades. You see, that's what they're talking about that in the chat about the barrow blades.
Yeah.
In the movie, they had Galadriel give them to them.
yeah.
And they also got short swords from Aragorn, which I thought made no
True.
sense. Where did he get 4 short swords?
Exactly. He just had them hanging around. It's like,
Yeah.
if I run into 4 hobbits, I'm good. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes I think there needs to be an allowance for an adaptation to do what it needs to do now and then to streamline a story. I'm far more okay with it happening by omission than commission. Like leaving
Yeah.
out Tom Bombadil, that I am far better with than doing that stupid garbage with Faramir in the Two Towers, especially because when you see him in the Return of the King, it's almost like a different character, and also the
Absolutely.
Arwen is dying.
Yeah, that was
Well,
dumb.
you could argue though that the changed scene of the 2 towers is what turns Faramir into what he is in Return of the King, because he learned a lesson from Frodo and Sam.
Yeah, because he does a complete 180 after the Nazgul.
Yeah. So
Okay,
you
fine.
you could make that argument for the movies isolated, but yeah, it's. I thought it was an unnecessary change to Faramir in the movies. They did it to add tension,
Yeah.
but still,
We had enough tension already.
Exactly.
yeah.
Did you guys see the some of the extra stuff on the extended versions where Peter Jackson said they could very well have visited Tom Bombadil? You just don't see that. So he's not necessarily not in the story. You just don't get to see it.
A plausible off-screen moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps. And again, I'm far better than that than with some of the other idiot stuff. And then Aragorn, it seemed to me him deciding to break up with Arwen too, and the Two Towers flashback. It was just like, she just gave you that awesome necklace, you dumbass, and now you're like, I know we all decided we're going to be together forever last night, but never mind, go on with your people. And I was like, that seemed very inconsistent with what they had established in the movie itself. And they never explained why Arwen was dying. I remember
it's just
going,
tied
what?
to the ring. Yeah.
Yeah, since when? And my mother, who'd never read the book, she was like, what? And we're all, what? And they never explained why Arwen's fate was tied to the ring. It never was before.
It's never been an elven trait before. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. And it, to me, that was the Lord of the Rings trilogy's somehow Palpatine survived moment.
Oh no.
Just real, I mean, it was almost that bad of just bad writing and just let's say this.
The scene in the extended version when they escape the ghost cave,
Yeah.
and all the skulls start pouring out of the walls. It looks like a kettle of popcorn over boiling.
Yeah, kind of. Absolutely.
It was dumb.
Yes.
Now, I will say that gave us a comical, I think it was meant to be comic relief, because like when Gimli starts stomping on him, he's like, oh, that's kind of funny. I guess it was to lighten the mood. I don't know. That's just my theory.
Yeah. That was a part of the extended edition that I completely understood was left out of the theatrical edition. I don't believe that it added anything to it.
No.
A good deal of what is added in the extended editions is amazing and brilliant and essential in some ways, but not that. I can see why I would be like, cut this. This is Bolshevik. But we're not there yet. But holy crud, I was still mad, and I will be mad till the rest of my life that they cut out the houses of healing scenes in the theatrical version. Well,
Oh yeah.
as well as Aragorn doing his healing thing to everybody. They did stick it back in the extended edition, and I just about gave birth to a live canary. I was so mad when I realized that it only took about 40 seconds for them to do that. And I was like, really? You couldn't find 40 friggin' seconds to leave that in the theatrical version?
Well, and it's such a good turning point because that's when Eowyn realizes that her love for Aragorn is superficial and that she is looking in the wrong place for love. And I don't know, it's a good turning point for me in her character's arc. So
Well, and it
it's a
also
shame.
gives their closure. So all of them,
Yeah.
because we didn't even know if Faramir was still dead. Last we saw him,
No.
he was being burned alive and kind of moving, and Pippin's like, he's alive, he's not dead. But it's like we didn't see him again until the end, and it would have taken 2
And
seconds.
Denethor, though, when he runs off that cliff, that's a long way away
Golly,
from where
I
he
know.
caught fire.
And it was hilarious.
I know. Like, how could you run that far while you're burning to death? I mean, I think that would be painful.
Well, he
Yeah.
wouldn't have made it that far.
Yeah.
He would have burned alive before he even
It's
ran
like
a
half
few
a
feet.
mile.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, holy crap, that's a long way to run.
Yeah, he would have been consumed completely. I mean, his legs would have burned off. I mean,
Yeah.
the dude poured gasoline all over his body before he got lit on fire. I mean, he was
Yeah.
a human torch.
And there's nobody else outside, just him.
Yeah.
He runs
And he
across the
runs
courtyard and
uninterrupted.
Yeah, everyone just sits and
imagine,
stares.
yeah, and you know what? He has to land somewhere in the city though, because that's below. So imagine some guy selling vegetables and then crispy Denethor lands in front of him.
It's like, well, there goes my business.
Yeah. It's like, okay,
Oh, gosh, you're right. The poor bastard was underneath.
yeah,
Yeah.
the city's underneath.
Will nobody think of the peasants? Yeah, that was one of those scenes where
Technically, he
laughed
could have fallen through a
inappropriately.
roof. Could have crashed through a roof and set a house on fire.
yeah, could have killed a whole family. Could have killed
True.
a puppy. The bastard. But it was funny because Gandalf is just sitting there watching him as he falls over the cliff. He just goes, well, there goes Denethor or something like that.
Son of
It's like-
Ithelion.
Yeah, which,
There you go.
Bye.
given the distance, that would have been like 10 minutes later.
Right?
It's like watching him run for 10 minutes and then there he goes.
Maybe he saw it in a vision.
I know, but for real, when you saw it in the movie theater, was there laughter? Because we were laughing, and I know we weren't supposed to be. It was unintentionally funny.
Yeah, I kind of chuckled a little bit. I'm like,
They-
oh, what?
They should have added the Wilhelm scream when he fell over.
Oh my god, that would have been perfect. That would have been perfect.
Oh, we have a pun. Snortopoopas Kubur, Denethor made a real ash of himself.
Oh dear.
He did. That's a
The
burn.
dumb tis.
Kick 44. He smashed into the building storing oil. Crispy Tirith.
Yeah, he earned it.
Ah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And Luffy's got Denethor went out like a boss. Didn't change one bit as a character. Defiant to the last. Long live the king. Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's it. Crazy till the end.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
You don't have to be sorry, Snortopoopas. That was a good one. As Steek said, that was a good burn. Oh boy.
Raise the temperature of the story.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Oh Oh dear me. Well, great chat.
He literally needed to chill.
He was on fire.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to say it.
He got
This
fired and
man's on
Faramir took his
fire.
place. It's raining
sorry.
men.
Oh dear.
Well,
You can keep them if they look like Denethor. I'm just saying.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and then you have Pippin and Mary going, "Ash on my tomatoes." Oh shit, it's Denethor.
Looks like meat's back on the menu. Sorry.
Oh. Wow. Poor Denethor. He.
A nice sausage and nice crispy bacon.
Oh man.
Oh dear. Well, you know that we were eventually things were gonna fall apart. Shane Nolan says, Princess Rennie, by the way, I enjoyed the stream with Critical Drinker last.
Oh, thank you, Shane.
Yeah, on Mr. Brown's Alliance. Sonora Pupus Kuber says, but seeing Denethor immolating himself in the pyre would have been awesome and totally shocking. Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jacob Ironside Logic, I am on fire and I just can't hide it. Speaking of which, Jacob, I think that you had said a question about which of the Rangers, right? Or was it you? And I said I was going to get
a question about Rangers. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, could you help us out here?
He asked who we would choose, the Dunedain or the Ithilien Rangers. Basically who's the best. Personally, I would go with the Dunedain.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But some of the Ithilien Rangers are from the Dunedain lines. But yeah, I would go with the Dunedain for sure.
Yeah. Well, I would go with Ithilien because that would mean I get to have Faramir. So.
I knew you were going to say that.
He's the beginning, the middle, and the end. By the way, I am seeing the chat. I'm very happy to see a lot of this dialogue and discussion going on in the chat. It's amazing. Yeah. And I like this whole idea of this being like the town hall or the town tavern. Oh, that might be something that we're planning on coming up. So please stay tuned at Miss Martin Muses. And if you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell because there's going to be some cool stuff, in my humble opinion, coming in the new year. Lots of exciting topics, lots of different fantasy. And I'm sorry, I just read this. Le Cage aux Rings. Thank you, PCAT. Thank you. No, that's not what we're going to discuss. But more discussion of the fantasy and what we love. The sky's the limit. There's video games, there's books, there's role playing. The sky's the limit. The possibilities are endless. Snooter Purpose Cooper says, I'm sorry, Aragorn. Teresa says there is only one true hunk Lord of Gondor. You can go back to the north.
No, I'll take him.
Yeah, I think that's a good compromise.
Yeah.
For the record, if I can't have Faramir, I'll take Aragorn. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's just how much poetry can Aragorn say versus Faramir?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I would have to just go with Eowyn because Arwen and Galadriel sound like they're on drugs.
Oh dear.
They do. They speak slowly and they're just doped out. So I'm like, okay, that leaves one.
Oh gosh, now I will not be able to unhear it. You're right, especially Arwen. She has that sound to her,
Yeah. She has dope voice.
Oh gosh. Well, in considering being around all those rock and rollers, maybe that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sort of Poops agrees. Teresa gets Faramir, Denny gets Aragorn, or Rennie gets Aragorn, I believe, and I get all the fish. Ah, there you go, Sort of Poops. And
He gets
Steve
to
gets
hang out at the Forbidden Pool.
he gets Eowyn, and that'll free up Faramir. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Will we all be role playing as hobbits and gnomes? No.
I know.
But we will be having no-made meals.
Oh dear.
Luffy's God says, my favorite characters from the books are Tom, Aragorn, Sam, and Faramir, Owen, Sauron. I love a person with ambition and drive.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Yeah,
Elven.
Sauron's like, blink and you'll miss me, you know.
Oh wait, Sort of Poopus wants Eowyn. Okay, you can have her. So, yeah, or you could share her. I mean, there's other chicks in
No,
there.
I'm not gonna shag Eowyn while there's a polar bear in the room.
Sort of Poopus, are you interested in any of the female wargs?
There you go. Oh no. Oh no. I've got this image now, Stieg, that I just shouldn't have in my head.
Yeah, I'm sleeping with Eowyn while there's a polar bear right next to the bed eating fish.
And he's just sitting there. Don't stop on my account.
Oh my.
He's eating fish and watching us.
Oh my
And
god.
she's like, let him watch.
Peacat says the elves share their women are into sloppy seconds. Oh, Elven meth, says Jacob Ironside Logic. One small piece will have you high for weeks.
Oh dear.
Luffy says I'd do an orc woman just for the notch on my belt.
Yeah,
Gross.
she'll have an orgasm.
Oh, gross. Okay, he says no wargs, maybe a cute lady burning. Oh, okay. That makes more sense, actually.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. There we go. Well, I think the reason why Galadriel and Arwen sound high is the director. He's like,
Because they're high elves.
I think he wanted them to sound ethereal.
Yeah, he
They're
was trying to
literally
make
called
him...
high elves.
Yeah.
Well, true.
No, but Peter Jackson, no, for real. It's like, we got to make him sound otherworldly and ancient and wise.
She walks around barefoot in her little dope garden like a slut.
Oh dear. Yeah, but elves are one with nature, so they don't care. They're like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
Oh my. Cake 44 says the burnings have to have females with forepaw dry.
Oh dear.
Oh boy. This is going to hell in a handbasket. But it always does. But that's good. That's why we love everybody. Oh, elves be pimping. Elves be pimping. Okay.
Now I'm picturing Elrond with those like digital shades, but yeah.
Pimp Findle.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up this party. Thank you to everyone in the chat. You were, as always, amazing. Oh wait, got one more comment. Snorted Poopa says, non-skid paws like mine. The ice is tricky.
Oh dear.
Oh, Trixie rather. Yeah. Thank you, P-Cat. Oh, who says elves and hoes. Thank you, Mages Guild, for being here. Snorted Poopa's Cooper, Shane Nolan.
They should call them hobbits.
Oh my gosh.
Those are just the women.
Luffy is God. We had OG show up, Jacob, Ironside Logic. We had Matt Wilkins show and give a nice little insult to Stieg, as he always does. If I miss anyone, I truly do apologize. I do try to get to everyone. Shane Nolan saying thank you to Stieg, Priceless Rennie, and Teresa. Take care, everybody. Luffy is God. Elves are one with nature. They be chopping down a whole lot of wood to make those arrows. My ass. Okay. Well, yeah. They're like all those climate change people advocates that fly in private jets and drive in limousines. Good stream, good chat. Thank you. Take care, every human. Yes, thank you, and take care, every animal. We do love our animals here on Miss Martin Muses. Thank you, Mages Guild. Thank you for being here. And Kelvington, thank you. So glad. And for all of you that are listening on the replay, thank you for being here. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good day. And be certain, if you run across Frodo and Sam, be certain to prove your quality.